Hey everybody, this is KMS. I'm going to be doing another short reading of one of my Amazon Kindle stories. This one is called The Sounds in the Rain, and it's a short story inspired by H.P. Lovecraft and also set in my home state of South Dakota. And just like the last one, Amazon might get a little bit mad at me if I read too much of this, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the introduction and sort of the first part of the story. In light of Tyler Redford's suicide, I feel obligated to end my silence regarding the events that led to his madness and the eventual taking of his own life, as I was there the night in which it all began. I regret not speaking sooner, but do not fully blame myself for what happened. Instead, I blame what he saw, the creatures or beings, whatever it was that I luckily did not see with my own eyes, but heard that night. At the time, over half a year ago now, I lived in the Black Hills of South Dakota. My greatest friend, Tyler Redford, lived some ways outside of the well-known historical gambling town of Deadwood, far down a winding dirt road in Spearfish Canyon. The home was settled in the midst of tall, dense, picturesque pines, spruces, and the occasional grouping of aspen that stood out due to both their white bark and leaves which were beginning to yellow with autumn's approach. Although the home was not located too far from Deadwood or its twin city of Lead, it was as wild and remote as could be, as well as far enough out that a satellite dish was required for any decent cable or phone service. My wheels churned up the gravel of the Redford driveway, making a crumbling, crackling echo that disturbed the otherwise peaceful forest in which the occasional bird called. After parking and exiting my vehicle, I paused for a moment to look at the house, which I had been to many times before. It was built in the early or perhaps mid-1980s, and the architect obviously had a modern design in mind. The stark white of the home's walls was now aged and peeling, along with the faded red-orange trim around the windows, which had not been painted since it was first sold. A nearly flat roof, rather unsuitable for the heavy snow of South Dakota's winters, topped it off. At least it was metal, but this, accompanied by the paint job, made the house contrast greatly against the dark green of the forest, far more than the small aspen groves which were scattered around it in the openings between dense gatherings of pine. As I began to approach the house, I noticed that the skies above quickly darkened. It was a combination of the earlier sunsets brought on by fall and a gathering blanket of ominous clouds, heavy and low to the ground with moisture. A dampness from the approaching storm could already be felt in the air, and a thin mist hung about the underbrush, which had already begun decaying into various shades of brown, tan, and yellow. Tyler opened the door as I approached. We shook hands, briefly mentioned the storm, and then talked about our plans for the evening as he invited me inside. Our plans were simple and something which we had become accustomed to doing once every few weeks. We were to drink, chat about life, work, and whatever else came up, as well as watch a movie or series on Netflix. The routine also involved me spending the night in the extra bedroom of the home so that both of us could drink freely without worry. Sitting down in one of the two recliners in Tyler's living room, I let out a contented sigh as I looked forward to a relaxing night indoors, especially because of the cool, damp weather outside. Tyler handed me a Jack and Coke before sitting down with his own and turning on the television. Struggling to find something to watch, we agreed to put on a movie we had already seen and chat over it. As we moved on to our second drink, the view outside of the living room window had already grown dark with night. The persistent pattering of a soft but steady, soaking rain against the metal roof could now be heard over the television and our words. We both ignored it for the time being, but soon after was when we began hearing something else amongst the rain. Alright, that's about as far as I think I can read into that. That's basically the preview that they have on Amazon. So definitely, if you think you're interested in it, if you're enjoying it so far, I will have the link down in the description, and I'd really appreciate it if you check it out. And yeah, thanks for joining in with this little reading.